Hello, my name is Elias Canaris and welcome to this episode of Leadership to a T. My guest today is Lindsey Holcombe from Clyde McLeod Limited. What an incredible salesperson she is, an incredible sales leader. Well, welcome Lindsey. It's such a pleasure to have you with me today. I'm just so pleased to have the time with you. I met you probably about 8 or 9 months ago, maybe a year ago now. And you from day one just grabbed me like a fish on a hook. And I was just pulled in and reeled in the moment I met you for that first time. Now, let me explain a little bit about your background. You're currently a business broker with Clyde McLeod.
Yes.
How long have you been there as a matter of interest?
This is my first year. In fact, it's my first year anniversary now.
Wow, 1 year this month in this organisation. So obviously you've had a couple of roles before. What sort of roles have you had historically?
Pretty much always been in sales, but prior to this I was selling wine for the last 10 to 13 years, and before that I was a hairdresser. So I started my career as a hairdresser, did my apprenticeship.
Hairdresser, through to selling wine, now through to selling businesses. That's quite a quantum leap at every stage. How did you manage to make that transition from all those different entities to who you are today?
There comes a time when you just know that you need to do something else, and I've been very fortunate that it's just been a natural progression. I think the thing that ties them all together is it's all about people and relationships. And I've always loved people. I've always loved learning about people and talking to them and just finding out what's going on in the world. So it has been a natural progression, and one thing has just led to the other.
People and relationships. I'm just so pleased that you mentioned that, Lindsey, because quite often when I talk to my clients, I talk about liberating your sales potential. I talk about growing your sales leadership and making more profit. But at the core behind all that is relationship, people and relationships. So tell me, what do you think has been a real asset to you that's helped you develop relationships with people? And are there any sort of tips and techniques you might want to share about how to develop better and stronger relationships?
I personally think it's a lot to do with listening and also giving your opinion, but you know, people all have a story to tell, and there's a lot of people are looking to talk to people about something, about their life, or in this case now their business. So the best thing to do is listen, and you learn so much from just listening to where someone is and where they've come from. They seem to have been natural progressions for me, but I think at the end of the day I like to cram a lot into my life, so it's just a natural progression for me.
Well, cram a lot into your life. What have you crammed in the last, I don't know, you're 21, 22 now?
Nice.
Oh, it's a good worth a try. But so obviously, you know, you've had that opportunity to cram quite a bit into your life, and I love the fact that when I'm around you, I get that real sense of energy. You have an amazing energy around you. You have been able to come in. So for those who have not met you before and do not know you, we met through a BNI, Business Networking International Group, and you came in from day one. And how long was it approximately since you joined to when you took one of the leadership positions in the team?
Wasn't very long at all, actually. It just was, I don't know, a couple of months. 8 to 10 weeks, I think.
Now, 8 to 10 weeks. Go back and think through your history from, you know, being a hairdresser through to selling wine, now selling businesses.
Yeah.
How have you seen your career progress, and have you seen yourself getting involved and jumping in at the deep end at different organisations, different situations?
I always put my hand up. So if there's anything that is available, I'll put my hand up and say, yes, please, I'd like to learn that. Or
So why do you put your hand up? Surely, you know, tall poppy syndrome here in New Zealand, put your hand up, get above, you're going to be chopped off.
But you know, at the end of the day, this is my life, and I'm just adding value to me, because it doesn't really matter. But I need to learn, and I think you can never stop learning, and it just depends. I mean, I don't have the full game plan, but each day if I can learn something more, and if there's a job prospect that is a little bit better than what I'm doing, and somebody offers me that job, well, I'm going to take it, because I'll have to learn more to get to the next level.
Well, I love the phrase, which we've all heard a number of times before, you're either green and growing or ripe and rotting. And I think you really epitomise that aspect of wanting to invest in yourself and to grow in yourself. Now, if you go from selling in the wine industry to selling businesses, man, you know, that's not just a small delta increase. That's a massive quantum increase. How did you train yourself? How did you equip yourself to make that transition into that sales leadership role that you find yourself in today?
Again, it just happened. I was in my sort of previous life as a salesperson in wine. I'd moved from supermarket tasting to managerial roles to a global sales and marketing manager, sort of just organically. And I kind of woke up one day and thought, there's something else I need to do, and just left my job.
Wow.
Not knowing what was going to happen, and spoke to my mortgage broker, because at that stage I thought I'll buy a business because I like to work for myself, and his suggestion actually was to try and sell businesses. I just thought, I'll give it a go. So that's exactly what's happened, and I guess having the knowledge of hospitality industry and obviously networks around me, it's helped. And always, I've had my own business before, and my parents had businesses, so there's always been that business mentoring around me. And looking now, when I meet people and I'm looking at their business from the inside out, and obviously it's just a bigger commodity that you're selling, so it's understanding. So it's about learning again. So it's going in and meeting people, building that relationship, finding out what their needs really are.
Yes.
Because they might want to sell their business, but why do they really want to sell their business? What do they want to do next?
That's a great point. I mean, you mentioned a very interesting element. You talked about your parents having owned their own business, and obviously growing up and being mentored by people like your parents, for example. I know mentorship and mentoring is a very important component in my own personal growth. I'm very fortunate to be a founding partner of the John Maxwell team, having John and his faculty personally mentor me over the last 4 or 5 years. I've been mentored by John probably for 17 or 18 years now. From your perspective, what is it that's so important about having a mentor, and what do you look for in a person who could mentor you?
Okay, I think I'm a little bit eclectic. I like to take a bit from everyone, and I think this has always been, even when I was hairdressing, I'd look at all the people I was working around and I'd like the way that person did haircuts. I'd like the way that person did something else. So you're kind of pinching a little bit of everyone's personality and what they do. And I guess even today, there's people that I'm working with now, and I think, wow, I love the way they do that, and I love the way they do that. But it's kind of taking a little bit from everyone, and stealing a little bit of everyone and putting it inside yourself.
Fantastic. And then the other aspect you mentioned, which I thought was quite interesting, is your love of networking with people. Now, if you're going to go and make a recommendation, you've got somebody in the audience watching this video and this interview, and you were to give them a couple of tips in terms of networking, what would you give as sort of tips for people to help them overcome their fears or break a barrier or whatever it is in terms of networking?
Just talk to people.
I
think at the end of the day, we've all got our little barriers, but it's quite often the person that you want to talk to might be feeling the same way as you are. And once you start talking, I think it just intuitively, if something attracts you to someone and you start talking to them, I guarantee there'll be a reason for that. And it's something you're going to learn from that person, or they're going to be of value to you or help you. And it's not all about your own gain. I really believe that you just build your network bigger and bigger, so that when somebody one day mentions, I'm looking for this person, you know that person, or you know someone that can help them. And I think that's the secret of networking for me. It's just helping everybody that you can, not for a personal gain, but just to small world, and it's just helping others.
I love that. I don't know, have you ever heard of an author and a great public speaker called Bob Burg, B-U-R-G?
No, I haven't.
Well, what you just said there just reminded me of a great story that Bob wrote, a good book called The Go-Giver. And he talks about getting into a networking environment where literally you go and find the center of influence. You just literally walk into a room, look around, see who is talking in a group. And you spend some time with that person just on the outside of the conversation, listening in, hearing what the center of influence is talking about. Eventually, people will disperse, and then you can talk to that center of influence, find out about them. And then you go to the next center of influence. And when you find out enough about people, you can go say, hey, Mary, I want to introduce you to Joe, and get the two of them together and add value. Because I think what you just described there describes what I would call a trusted advisor.
Mm-hmm.
Because a trusted advisor is somebody who you have built up a rapport with, who understands more than just, based on price, a commodity supplier.
Yeah.
So if you looked at encouraging people to move from a commodity supplier to a trusted advisor, what are 2 or 3 things you might offer as a sort of takeaway for people?
I think someone that's got your interest probably front of mind, not theirs. Because if you help that person, well, then it's naturally going to happen that you're going to help yourself. And I think somebody that you can genuinely trust and talk to with, about life things, about what you're working on together. It's just about trust, really. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, look, Lindsey, it's been absolutely awesome to have this time with you. I really thank you for the time we spent together, and I got a couple of really good nuggets out of that. So just as I close off, I'll just turn around and share with my audience a couple of great tips when you're looking at going to that trusted advisor role. As Lindsey has said, what's in it about them? Find out about them and build up that trust. It's so important to be able to get them to talk about life things to you. And on that point, I want to wish you great success in your journey as you move from commodity supplier into trusted advisor. Bye for now.